The Phantom himself is Hugh Panaro. How are you?
I'm great on this two-show day.
Thank you so much for doing it. I really appreciate it. And I know how difficult it is to get time on a two-show day because, I mean, you must be exhausted.
I am. I don't know if this is really dumb, but I had an accident this morning. I have a pet fish that was given to me on an opening night of a show called Little Fish. And I woke up this morning and he had committed fish suicide. He jumped out of his bowl. And I got to him in time. He was still breathing. So I've spent my morning, honestly, running around to pet shops looking for fish antibiotics to try to resuscitate my fish.
You must be in trauma.
I am. That sounds so bizarre. I know people are laughing. It's a fish, I know, but it was an opening night gift. And he's really got a good little personality. I keep him on my piano, and I've trained him like Pavlov's fish. I play the piano, and he knows that it's feeding time, so he comes to the top. Oh. And right now, I'm praying that he is still alive, so that by the time I come home after 2 shows, he may, be able to receive the antibiotics that I bought him.
Maybe we should have some kind of moment's silence here for your fish. I mean, I can see you're clearly traumatized by this, and I mean, are you okay to go on with the interview? I mean,
yes.
You're sure?
For you, Alex.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I've traveled a long way, 3,000 miles. I mean, I don't want to put you out or anything.
You don't want to hear about a fish either, I'm sure.
I'm curious about stars' lives because, I mean, you're in this show and it's an incredible show. We all know that you have a really serious part, and it's nice to know that you have a real life with fish. It's made my day, really.
Yes, I do have a very real life. I try not to make the show the only thing. I think that's a danger, especially playing this role. I'm sure you've had this in the West End, and we have it here in the United States. A lot of the Phantoms kind of go off the deep end. I think they start really believing that they're this, guy that lives underground, and their whole life becomes a little bit neurotic. And I try not to live there. I try to keep a fairly balanced woodworking, ceramics, different things to keep my life balanced.
I can understand why they do go off the deep end slightly, because this is such a dark show. Mm-hmm. I mean, it does have a few laughs in it, but your part doesn't have any laughs in it particularly, and it's tragic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very dark, and I have to say, one of the things I say that I have so much joy doing this show, and people go, that's kind of a strange thing to say with such a dark role, but I look at it as free therapy. It's the guy that cuts you off in traffic, that makes you a little bit angry. You've got a perfect forum to bring all of that, angst and anger or whatever's gone wrong in your day. You have it's like a gym. It's like a gym for your mind and your craft, within the parameters that you're given, obviously, by the director. But you can incorporate so many different things. We had a slight mishap with the remote-controlled gondola, the boat that and I started paddling, and the boat didn't move. And the minute I stopped paddling, the boat moved. So, needless to say, I was on the annoyed side at that point. But luckily, I had the last scene of the show in which to put all of that frustration.
The thing I want to say
is to bring the audience into this story.
This is a show where you really have to demonstrate all levels of your voice. You have to scream throughout it. You have to sing very quietly. The dynamics are so huge, aren't they?
It's true. And what you bring up a really good point about the screaming and things the extreme laughter, the maniacal laughter, all of those things are really taxing on the voice. It's funny, the singing becomes almost the easy part. It's the intense singing, and you have to, again, act with your voice, and especially the very first time the audience hears you, they don't see you, but they have to get all of that, Hal calls it a bubbling rage, that indignation, that completely insulted man, that all has to come through in your voice, and you're shot out of a cannon, and then you have, then you have to chase Christine around the lair, screaming and yelling and growling, and like I said, the maniacal laughter. It's a vocal workout.
It must be every actor's dream to play this role. This is almost the best role ever to play on Broadway, I imagine, isn't it? It's the most famous, certainly, of any role.
I have to tell you something. I played Raoul in this production in 1991. And at the time, everyone was saying, don't you want to play the Phantom? And to be honest, I didn't. I really didn't get, at that age, I was too young to get what it really was about. And now doing it, I can't believe I didn't want to do this, because it is such... I've been in the show about 5 months now, and I'm still learning and finding new moments every night. It is such a complex role. It's an actor's dream. I mean, I'm trying to think of the roles for men, aside from this, maybe like Jean Valjean in Les Mis, but this is even, I dare say, has different levels than that even, because there's such a disturbed man you're playing, but you don't play, you can't play a disturbed man all evening. It has different levels. I live for the last scene. It's all comes to fruition in that last scene.
I think Dr. Phil and Oprah would have a field day with Phantom, wouldn't he, really?
Yeah, he'd say, well, you got to get to the issues of this man. You understand? He was born deformed. His mother put a mask on his face. Of course he's angry. Of course he's got issues. A good therapist will help this man. That's my Dr. Phil.
That's a very good impression. And talking of Dr. Phil, I'm still concerned about the fish, and especially the fact that you're going to administer drugs to the fish. And I was wondering how you actually do that.
Well, they come in a little capsule. Mm-hmm. You create a tonic in a quart of water. And then from that tonic, you take 1 part tonic, 2 parts fresh water.
Right.
And then you put the little guy into this water, and I think I'm going to put him in the dark in the smallest container possible so that he thinks it's nighttime and goes to sleep, because you know how your body recuperates when you sleep. So I figure if I can convince the fish that it's nighttime, he might get better quick,
How old is the fish?
Well, I've had him a year.
It's probably time for him to go, really, isn't it?
The Siamese, it says Siamese beta fish, right. And they only have a lifespan of about 2 years is what I've been told. So he could have been a year when I got him. Maybe he knew something I didn't know, and that's why he jumped out of his bowl. I don't know. He'd have a sort of fish suicide.
I can't believe I'm sat here with one of the most talented performers on Broadway, and we're still talking about your fish. I want to talk about your past very briefly. You've done Les Mis, you've done stuff in the West End, and you also are in Martin Guerre, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest musicals ever, yet it flopped in the UK. It was just not right. I don't know why, because the music, I think, is absolutely wonderful.
I agree. The music is wonderful. It's been through many incarnations, and having toured the United States with this show, what was, I think, one of the things that we noticed, I think one of its problems, there was so much side story dealing with the Catholics versus the Protestants and that historical aspect. And although that's fascinating, the audience really wanted the love story, and which we were a part of, the triangle with the 3 principal characters. But I think maybe if it was ever revamped again, if somehow even bring that story even into more focus, if that's possible, to maybe engage the audience. The music was astonishing, and I have to say it was again a dream role. I get all these great roles with free therapy where you get to be flogged and whipped and cry and spit on stage, where you just anything that's rotten in your life, you sure get to work it out.
You see, I normally have to pay good money for that.
Hell, really?
It's true, really. The thing I love about your performance last night that I just thought was incredible was your bass, your deepness, which I know can be enhanced to a point by the PA system and stuff, but you really have got such incredible bass in your voice. Could you give us a low note now that you sing? Is that possible? Is that putting you in a predicament?
You know what? I'll do. This is what I always... one of our dressers here, I was explaining to him, he's a wonderful singer, and was talking about my low notes, and they were good. And I said, that came from, I think, was playing Marius in Les Miserables, because every single night after singing all this beautiful high stuff, you got to empty chairs and empty tables, and you'd go, and tomorrow never came. All those that wasn't very good, but it's early in the morning. But he had to sing that low note every night, and I think after doing that, it just got so comfortable comfortable down there.
Congratulations, and I wish you all the success with Phantom. There can't be anything else you want to do after this, really. I mean, is there another role, really?
Do you know, I have to be honest, this is one of those things, I don't know if you've heard of a show called Sideshow, which we did in the United States, but the two women that played the leads in that, one of Alice Ripley and Emily Skinner, I said to Alice, how do you, after playing such an amazing role where it fulfills pretty much every artistic bone in your body, how do you go on? What is your next thing? And we both said, I don't know. It has to probably be something very different and maybe the antithesis of the Phantom, you know, like Anything Goes or something absurdly comical, or Me and My Girl, something completely at the other end of the spectrum.
Maybe Roger Elizabeth Debris from The Producers. You could play that role.
Yes.
That'd be completely opposite, wouldn't it?
I could do it. I could do it, man.
It's been a real pleasure talking to you. And again, thank you so much for talking to us, because I know it's a 2-show day and you've got an incredible day in front of you. I don't know how you do it twice, because I sat there watching the show and the notes you get are just incredible. And the performance is so passionate. You must be drained after it just by the deepness of this show. And there's no laugh. You can't smile, really, can you?
No. The good part is you get some sarcastic moments of taking great delight when Carlotta, you know, goes up in Il Muto and things like that, and also playing with Raoul in the cemetery with the fire, and there's it's kind of a maniacal smile, but it's definitely a 2-show day, and especially Wednesday, because it's midweek, I find is the most draining, and just getting in the makeup twice. By the second show, my skin from the glue is pretty red and on fire. But I always say if I get through Wednesday, I'm fine for the week.
Well, congratulations on your performance, and I'm sorry about the fish. I hope it gets better.
Say a prayer he lives. I'm going to, after I get off the air, I'm going to sing "Bring Him Home" for my fish.
Please do, and I wish him well, and I wish you well. Hugh Panaro is the star of Phantom and the Opera, and it's on at 44th Street here in New York, and it's also on in the West End. Go and see it. This is a musical to see because it's timeless, it's incredibly staged, and you sing beautifully. Thank you so much for joining us today on the magic of the musicals on Broadway.
Great. Thank you, Alex.